Thank you. So let me tell you a little bit about Confrapar. Confrapar was founded in 2007. It's a venture capital firm that invests only in IT. We have right now 75 million reais in assets under management. We invest in Minas Gerais. We have one fund for Minas Gerais, one of the FINEP funds, and another fund, the first one, and another fund is Nascente for the state of Rio. We have in our portfolio nine companies. We did 3 investments, actually 2 investments. We're working on the third one. We did 2 investments that the companies had angels. We believe it's very important for in Brazil to develop all those angel groups. We have here in Rio, we have in Florianopolis, we have in São Paulo. But we believe that it's good news. I didn't know about you guys in Vitória, but it's very, very important to have this, because when we get one company that was invested before by an angel, it definitely reduces our screening. The company comes much more prepared, and we do believe in investing in those angels that are active, because they add a lot of value other than only the money. We expect to work even more with the angels. We have the same problem with the accelerators. This problem doesn't happen when we get a deal that was invested by angels, but right now the cut that they are taking in the company, the accelerator they are taking in the company, is a little bit too much, and the valuations, it's good for the entrepreneur if they can get it. Let's put it this way. I don't have a lot to add about the operations of the angel groups. For us, it doesn't matter. It's important to have active angels. We do believe that it's important to have an angel in the board. We like this, especially here in Brazil, that entrepreneurs don't come prepared. The business are not ready to be invested. So that's it.
Thank you, Rodrigo. So I think the floor is open if anyone has any questions.
Morning, my name is Claudio Nasajon. I'm from the Angels, and the question is for you, of the Green Ventures. How do you manage in the US the issue of the accelerators raising up the valuation? And I would like to hear about Argentina also.
The accelerators, I don't see that many deals out of accelerators. And it is my impression, I'd be interested to hear Catherine's thoughts on this as well. It is my impression from what little I know about accelerators here in Brazil that the equity take by accelerators in the US is substantially lower. In addition, the equity take that I know about is always in common stock, whereas when we invest in preferred stock, so we kind of don't worry about the common stockholders. So I think how that accelerator investment is structured from a stock tier standpoint and from a valuation standpoint, it sounds like it's pretty important. So, that, I don't know, Catherine.
10 to 12% in the United States.
Even lower, right?
Yeah,
There are some that have 3, 5, yes.
Yeah, I've heard 6 too. So.
I haven't heard that low.
Well, we're going to be hearing from Joe Horton, who has a no equity in accelerator next time. That'll be the ideal.
Up to now, we don't have projects that becomes from an accelerator. So we don't have experience in that cases. Even though on regular basis, accelerators in Argentina ask for 10% of the participation. So it's a little bit high. Yeah. Even though it depends of the valuation, but 10% on regular basis they ask for this kind amount of participation.
Caio Ramalho from FGV Venture Capital Center. It's for Ralph. Could you make some notes about the free rider problems that you face within your association?
We haven't had a lot of free rider problems because we have a fairly high entry bar. I've talked to some colleagues in the venture capital community, in the angel capital community, where they have relatively large groups and participation rates are extremely diverse. So I think that's where the free rider problem comes in. Ultimately, that's a group dynamic, I think, that needs to be decided upon group by group, rather than kind of a systemic challenge to which there's one easy answer. Catherine, you may have thoughts on that as well. I think one of the best ways of dealing with it is, well, two. One is to require investment amounts every year. And you know, we've had members who haven't invested in 1 year, but that's because they invested way more than they expected to in the first year. And the other is to informally suggest that you know, you may want to take a lead on a deal pretty soon because, you know, we're a little concerned. So getting people to be engaged in a diligence process in taking the lead on a deal and making that suggestion either within the group or more likely one-on-one outside the group is a way of dealing with it pretty effectively.
The quicker you deal with a problem like that, the better off you are.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I just also want to comment that Gavea Angels also have the same problem now. We have 30 associates, but in fact we have like probably 15, 20 who really participate, and probably 15 that not even, the last count 14 had made investments. So we're trying to deal like the weeding out and all some of the people who don't participate. And what you do, we established a rule last year, you know, that over a 2-year period at least, you know, any associate would have to at least have made one investment. You don't have an investment cap or an investment requirement, but we're trying to deal with that in terms of setting up a rule. You know, over 2 years you haven't even looked at an investment, then you're out, basically. And then if you have looked at an investment but you haven't made an investment in 2 years, then you're also out. So we try to deliberate that at the end of the year, you know, and then weed out, you know, those associates who are not contributing to the group.
Just one other comment. I also think a way of dealing with it is to set the membership fee, the annual dues, high enough so that you're weeding out people who are just kicking tires right up front. You know, that level can vary, but it's got to be a, you know, a sizable enough check to belong so that people aren't there just to have lunch.
I have a question for the seed funds, you know, in terms of what are the outlook in terms of collaborating with angels, or in terms of what kind of actions or what kind of support, you know, just taking advantage of our colleague from Firjan and other stakeholders are here, you know, what kind of activities, what kind of support, you know, like authorities or stakeholders could provide, you know, to create more engagement between angels and in seed funds?
Oh, myself. Yeah, my investments are on the boundary of angel and seed and a little bit higher level, not venture capital, but close to that. And I'm lately I was keeping in more contact with other funds seeking for joint investments in deals, like I did last week. It was my first one. This is a better way to find exit strategies later, and also to divide the risk of the investment.
In my perspective, I think that I really don't think that we need like institutional support for this. I think we need to be talking constantly and to be in touch and to work together. But yes, there are some ideas here in Rio. Rio Negócios, I don't know if you guys know, it's, you mentioned before? Yeah, one of our partners. Yeah, yes. So Rio Negócios, one of the projects that I think they are thinking about, it's a show in Rio about entrepreneurship, investments, angel investments, and venture capital investment, all this. that could work to bring us together in some setting and discuss and make deals and all this. But yes, I think it could be a good idea, like demo day or something like this. But I think we need to be close. We need to be close. It is more important than get institutional support. I think we need to be in touch constantly. Just a follow-up point on the accelerator, not to make this a bashing session, but they are definitely doing a very good job preparing the companies. They are doing a very good job preparing the companies, and this we have to recognize this.
Anyone from the audience who want to comment on one of the points? It's not any question, but what the experience that you have as an individual investor, as a group investor? Mike, you want to talk something about I'm putting Mike on the spot because he has an angel group and he just opened an accelerator. So I'd like to hear what.
Our equity for our accelerator will be 10% top. Okay? No, group investing. I mean, I have a question for all of you. How much do you syndicate? How much do you co-invest? Is that something, actually, like all of you guys? How often does that happen? Because for me, it's just a natural thing. I don't realize, it's like for me, it just doesn't sink in my head that you cannot call friends to co-invest. We're friends, we're in the same boat. And this is how we play the game. I mean, I've been investing with Captain for 4 years now, so I'm part of the Jumpstart group in New Jersey. My wife is part of Golden Seeds in New York. It's 100 women that invest in women-funded companies only. A couple men also that are partners, but women investing in women. It's a very well-organized angel group. So we've been investing for a few years, and I also invest in Brazil, so I spend half of my time here and another in São Paulo and in New York, New Jersey, running from hurricanes. And for me, it's a natural thing, and I was very surprised the other day of one of our investors in the accelerator. So we are funded. We created a group. I don't like to call it a fund because there's like Brazilian SEC regulations, the CMV and so on, so it's not a fund. It's a investment club or angel group that funded the accelerator. So we funded a good part of it, but we decided to 15 quotas and give everybody the opportunity to join us because we wanted smart money. And besides that, we also share investments in Brazil. So we do the angel part, and we started the acceleration part. But let's focus on the angel part. And I was surprised to hear from some of the Brazilian friends saying, we're very surprised that us, Pedro and I, offer to share deals. And this is something that, for me, I'd rather have, I don't know, 20 deals and invest $50,000 in 20 deals with other guys and we cover the needs of the startups, rather than trying to, like, you know, swallow everything alone. So that's my comment more than a question, I would say.
Yes, as I thought, I'm very close now for some time with people from C Ventures in Florianopolis and CRP in Porto Alegre. CRP runs perhaps 6 or 7 venture capital funds and seed funds already. But it's only a short time now that we were talking about co-investment and syndication and all of this. And one deal closed, and I'm negotiating a deal now where I will invest as an angel investment, and the second stage investment will be already set up in the same negotiations from one of these funds.
Along those lines, just make an announcement. I think Rodrigo will be okay. In the afternoon, Gavea Angels and EIA Angels, we're going to be signing up on a cooperation agreement exactly, to start sharing deals between our two groups. So trying to do some sharing. I totally agree with Mike. That we really have to do much more sharing, among the groups and between the groups and and the seed funds. We're starting to some conversations with ACNTI is the only seed fund in Rio, so to start like sharing when we have some very large opportunities that come to us, bring them early on in the conversation. Even though they might not syndicate the investment, they might do the follow-on right away, and they will lower the transaction cost for them in terms of the analysis of the investment. So we'll be talking more a little bit about this agreement that we're going to be signing up in the afternoon. Ralph?
Mike, I completely agree with you. I didn't realize we were syndicating, but we were. It's nice to share the risk. I would offer a couple of thoughts to make collaboration easier. One is to come up with a common term sheet. The term sheet is the language of the deal. And if you all can agree on a common structure for a term sheet, it just makes that collaboration process much, much faster. Mike and I were actually talking at dinner last night about the growth of the Brazilian economy and the fact that there are probably very many good investment opportunities that don't have classic exit opportunities. And so I think also coming up with a deal structure for what I'll call boring businesses, but that have extremely high growth rates given the growth of the economy here, that where you all can find exits that aren't the classic VC or angel exits of strategic sales or IPOs, but they're income-related investments. I think that might really increase, and I don't know what that structure is, but I think that might really increase both deal flow and returns in the angel community, which in turn will expand the angel community.
To do this, because our ecosystem is still small. We cannot compare ourselves to what's going on in the US, of course, but even in Europe. So the ecosystem is seen from the side of the startups as I have to go for the VC first. And, well, Catherine already mentioned what happens when you go to the VC on the first shot. So I think we have to have this obligation to move the ecosystem as much as we can. And our ecosystem, the angel ecosystem, is something that really needs to be fomented and developed in a I think it's a fantastic thing that what's happening here today. But this is the beginning of something that people should interact more and show deals to each other more. Even if you once you close the deal even, you can show your deal to the other friends, other angels, and say, look, this is the deal that we cut, and eventually if you do a follow-on with us, or you can copy this kind of deal with someone else and so on, taking the hook of the, the common term sheet or something like that. But I lack of more, not formal, but maybe more organized communication between us. It's really small. We're just starting something that is going to be big in the future. We've seen it with what's going on in the US. So we do this a lot in America, in New Jersey, like it's amazing what Catherine does. She's constantly talking to a lot of people and bringing back information to us. And we also do the same thing. And we should do this, and I think it's a relationship of trust that we're starting to build slowly.
One of the things we see in the United States is regional groups have syndication meetings, and Boston is one of the best places for this. So I don't know how many groups there are in Boston, but there's more. I think there's at least 10 angel groups. They sign a common document saying that they will share the deals. And every quarter, maybe, I think it's 3-4 times a year, they have a meeting. And if you're a member of that group, you come to the meeting and they have, let's say, 10 companies pitch, maybe a smaller number. So instead of making those companies trot around to all the different angel groups, they get to present once. But to get in to present, there has to be a term sheet from one of the angel groups. So it's an active live deal that people can participate in. And that seems like that's a model that could be used regionally. And it's been very, very successful in Boston. It's not all over the place, but there's a couple other groups in the United States where they do a regional meeting.
Okay,
like
so let's go to the lunch time. Thank you all. Okay, we will be able to see some companies that have been invested in our showcase. So let's go. Thank you.
Presidente da Associação Latino-Americana de Inversionistas Ángeles, a ALIA, e os debatedores, o Marcelo Casaro, da Floripa Anjos. Fernando, por favor. Marcelo Casaro, da Floripa Anjos. Paulo Eduardo Tavares, da Gavea Angels. Pedro Weingartner, que eu errei o nome dele, mas agora eu acertei, eu acho. E a Catherine O'Neill, também como participante da mesa.
Boa tarde, em inglês, o que hacemos em inglês? It's okay? when we invest in some deal, it's the result of a process, not a formal or totally structured process, but there is some kind of work that has been organized behind. There is an environment that's behind. There is incubator. There is policies, government policies, etc. And I would like to put just some topics for the panel to be discussed. The first one is, how is the role of the formal system? I mean, what about the incubators? What about universities? According to my experience in Latin America, it's not working, or could be very good improved, but there is a lot of things that should be modified. Because at the end, most of the incubator systems are captured by the administration team. Government is putting a lot of money, and the system, the objective of the incubator is not to have the best project in place, but to have job next year. So something's happening there that I have seen in 3 different countries at least, Chile, Colombia, and Peru is working in the same way. Other things is, when you obtain some reputation as angel network, you are a reference, so people send you good project. I mean, those are the main sources. Other reflections is what happened with this national ecosystem. A lot of people contest, participating, and there is something that is I believe is influencing negatively the system, is that people try to say, great, you are an entrepreneur, great. And nobody is able to say, you are doing wrong. This is the wrong scope. Modify, you can improve here, and that kind of things. So at the end, you have, in Colombia, there is a very famous contest called Ventures. It's a national contest, and I was lucky because they invited me to accelerate the 15 winners of the last 3 years, regional or national winners, and from those 15 projects, we get 2 good projects for investment. I mean, this is because all the people involved, we are talking the national contest for 3 years, nobody told them those room for improvement. I believe it's also, we were talking with some people here about Chile has a very famous contest or program, Startup Chile. It's a marketing program, but no result. I mean, people go there, take 40K, and they leave the country, and nobody understands what's happening there. So, which are the objective for the entrepreneur? Because at the end, my opinion is that the best way for a project to be ready for the market is how soon a private can put money on it. I mean, in Chile, we changed the way that incubators were measured in terms that as early a private put money means that the incubator is doing a great job. Because once you put money as a private, you get involved in all the major decisions, or you can influence positively the project. And a couple of additional reflection, just to open is in Latin America, which are the main problems when you get the project? Vision, local vision. Most of the projects are locally, and except Brazil or Mexico, all the other countries, they don't have the critical mass to have a successful project, thinking only in Colombia or Medellin or Chile or Argentina. So the initial diagnosis, so it's the people who is look in the project for first time, they have a lot of influence to modify the project, because after 2 years, it's very difficult to modify a project in terms of how the partnership is doing, the stockholder, how many partners, and the major decisions are already made. And IP is other big challenge in Latin America, university role, and when we see how countries like Israel, I have been reviewing Israel, I have been twice there, how being a very small country, I think globally, once we have that kind of thinking, Latin America will be in a different shape. I don't know what do you...
Ladies first.
Due diligence, what a topic for after lunch, okay? Opportunity search. You switched it. I just showed up for the panel that you gave me. We deal with universities in the United States where we do a lot of programs as Jumpstart with Princeton University. And so Princeton's a very renowned university. This one's okay? We do a lot of programs with Princeton University, but it suffers from this, as it was pointed out, universities don't have a commercial take on what makes a good business. And Princeton is no better. In fact, it may be worse because it doesn't have a business school. So the engineers are really the drivers, plus a lot of other research in technology and lasers. So but we spend a lot of time with universities because it's not just what's coming out now, it's alumni. We have a program active with Princeton University where we host an annual innovation forum. And it can be existing students and graduate students or professors, because now the full professors bring out their stuff to show to everybody, and as well as people from the community. So it gets a lot more activity, but still it's early stage. It's very, very early stage. We see a lot from warm handshakes, different people who send us deals. We send deals to other people too that don't work. New York Angels does so much new media. They do very little tech, so they send us technology-based businesses, and we send them new media businesses. I think that the opportunities are, at least in the United States, are very, very high. We are, though, seeing a lot of Me Too products, which are not attractive. Everybody has a very special take on a calendar or an educational tool, and there's many of them out there. I can't tell you the number of companies I've seen who are forming around hiring and HR sources, and they've got a different way to do the hiring, but you have some big players out in that space, so what is an angel going to do? I think there's a tremendous amount of deal flow. How you vet it and how you narrow your funnel so you don't spend a lot of time on really bad deals is difficult. I judge hackathons and startup weekends, which are not, they're not necessarily the deal flow source, but there's a lot of entrepreneurs around there, so we visit and have a chance to make a connection. There's networking today. I think that still networking is one of the things that brings people and deal flow into an organization.
Well, thank God, Catherine said more or less what I would say. 5 years ago, when we started Floripa Angels, we, in Brazil, at least in Florianopolis, most people didn't have a clue at all what Angel Invest was about. So we have a lot of effort trying to broadcast, trying to promote angel investing, and today, mainly, I think in 2012, this scenario changed completely, because we are now, as a business angel networking, receiving hundreds of plans, hundreds of demands for investment, and it's almost impossible to go through all of them. And I think that that's one of the main importance of this event is to create connections, to strengthen this networking, because this is I think it's a powerful shortcut for us investors to receive potential successful projects. Because if we just create a website on the internet and ask people for sending us their ideas, which is something that we used to do some years ago, and it worked in terms, because nobody knows anything about that. But today, our approach should change, and I think that the idea is to create a powerful ecosystem in terms of startups here in Brazil. We are years behind the US, of course, in Europe, but nowadays, as Fernando said, we have a situation that is it's like very trendy and very cool to open a startup, and people are leaving their jobs and think that they are going to be the next millionaire, and we know that it's not like that. And so for me, the key word for minimizing the situation is it's networking.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the crew that made this possible. Okay, and thank all the audience and guests and the sponsors. Well, nowadays, we live in a boom of entrepreneurship, and the nerd you are, the more nerd you are, the coolest guy you become. You know, so we are here to discuss these days about this practice to turn this glamorous world into a profitable one, and not only for the investors but entrepreneurs and the society. Now, we know that the more healthier and sustainable the enterprise become, more jobs they will generate. So we have here, as Catherine said in the morning, the great quantity of jobs generated in the United States comes from the startups. So we're living like this here in Brazil also. Well, but I would like to focus on this point. Despite this scenario, we use in Gavea to receive about 60 or 70 proposals for each forum by the deal flow by the internet. And now this number has decreased for about a half of this. I think there are too many accelerators and individuals, angels, and incubators emerging. So the competition is very hard. And we have to be a lot of more active in searching these opportunities. So we have to go to the competitions, have to go to the groups that are performing meetings, and even the parties, and even social networks. One of these days I met an old friend of mine by the social net, and he's performing a startup in Minas. So I started talking to him, and I found that he has founded that startup by the internet, by the social network. Well, but not we can find these opportunities not in big cities like Rio or São Paulo, but in the smaller cities that are next to us. In Gavea, we recently have invested in 2 or 3 companies from the interior, from the cities, the smaller cities next to us. And I think the entrepreneurs of the cities, they are not so close to that media that's happening here in big cities. So they search for groups, for more mature groups like Gavea Angels. So it's a way for searching for that opportunities also. Another point is the quality of the project. We have seen lots of the same. The guy talks about the new great network, social network, but he has to speak a lot about half an hour to tell you what's the difference for the other ones. So we have a role we have to play here as an association to promote this education of the entrepreneurs. So, but I think we are doing the right way here in this meeting.
Now that everybody spoke, I have to come up with something that's original. But well, I think when you think about deal flow and when you think about finding new opportunities, we have this image that people will come to us. I'm an angel, I have money, and people will drop by. And there's this movie with Kevin Costner. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called The Field of Dreams. And Kevin Costner, some spirits starts telling him that if he builds this field, people will come. And they say, if you build it, they will come. And I don't think it works on our business. People just don't come. We gotta go find them. And in order to do that, we think that the first thing is to build the ecosystem, because it takes time. It's not from one day to another, but most of all, it takes a change of our mind model, because the way we think, angel investors and such, we think that we are competitors. For instance, this deal is mine, and nobody will touch my deal. As Mike said, we love syndication. But our main competitor here is the job market here in Brazil. You see, we are fighting for talent. We are looking for good entrepreneurs. And there are a lot of great companies, large companies here that will pay a good salary to them, to the people we find the best talent. So we gotta come up with a good reason for them to spend 3-4 years getting less than the market and working probably twice. And that's one of the things we are worried about. And we think to deal with it, it's through education. That's why at Aceleratech we're partnering with a university, because we think that when we can reach these guys and say, hey, there's another career path you can take, and perhaps your idea with some work, with some new insights, you can turn it into a business. And that's one place we're looking for opportunities in the academic field. So talking to students, I'm a teacher, so I like to speak with a lot of, I'm always saying my goal is in a class, it's take 2 or 3 people and inspire them to open their businesses. And I'm glad to say I did it more than once, and I've seen now people with medium companies that open after a class they took with me. So, but other places, since we're a tech-focused group, we looked for technology companies. Where do we look for it? In events. We have a lot of events, so we gotta find them. There are meetups, in São Paulo, there are meetups in Rio. We gotta find this, and we gotta search in the room. That's where we found Já Comparou, Mariela. I found her in the event. She was standing right there, and I said, hey, what do you do? And she told me her story, and that developed, and we met Antonio, and everybody developed from there. But the deal flow is something that we are also counting on. We are very open to that. So a couple of weeks ago, there's an investor that works with us a lot. We passed a deal to him. We say, hey, look what we are working at. And he was very surprised. With, come on, you're giving me a deal. I don't believe it. I never seen it before. And we were shocked. And then a couple of weeks later, he called us and said, hey, you see, I have a deal here. And you see, things start flowing. When we start opening, things start flowing. So that's one thing I think if we start working on that, we'll probably see a lot more deal flows. But it's somebody has to start it. So let's try to network more, and to as he said, let's try to network more. To this event, it's something that definitely works in this direction. But that's it.
A couple of additional points. Probably the best potential deals are in hand of people that they will not approve any psycho test. I don't know if you agree, but if you see wonderful research that can be wonderful a project or business, the guy who is in charge of the research, you will never would like to be partner of him. In fact, I sued one researcher in Chile for 1 million because he asked me 1 million and 1 million to other people, and he created a company to compete with us. I mean, it's a crazy guy. He's a well-known professor in his area, but he's crazy. So that's a very interesting point, because when you are looking for projects that are global, with a scale that can be can grow rapidly, those projects should be good innovation. I mean, should be something special. If you can cook that soup, you are in good shape. I mean, if you can balance that kind of knowledge with other things, you have a good project. Because project, I mean, thinking in project that like a new marketplace is plenty of that. I mean, when you have reviewing hundreds of projects, you know that there is many projects very similar in Colombia, in Peru, in Brazil, and maybe one of those will survive. So the chance is very little. So trying to, I prefer to be focused in those projects that if you can solve the psycho issues, that can fly. Other situation is that tomorrow we will, here is my partner, he has to solve my psycho issues in this case. But I mean, from brilliant mind, you can find those kind of ideas or projects. Other situation is that how much time do you spend? I mean, more than angel. I talking about our country development, talking about our social role. How many young people waste 2 or 3 years believing that they will be millionaire or entrepreneur? I believe that we should have, I agree with you, that we should have some teaching scope to talk to them or to try to correct them. A third thought that I would like to share is the quality of the projects is not a neutral thing. Because if you, in our network, the first 2 years we put a lot of projects in front of our angel group, and we lost the best potential angels because the project were not attractive enough. So it's not neutral. Which kind of project do you present to your
One of
group?
the things I would suggest, and I certainly look at it this way, I don't think of accelerators or incubators or education programs for entrepreneurs as competing with the angel groups. We are honored guests at their demo days. We're the ones that have the money. We're the ones that actually are excited that somebody is buffing and polishing and improving a company. So we don't see any competition there. And I think that's something to think about here too, because other than that issue which I heard about some of the incubators taking 20 or 30% of a company's ownership, you know, incubators, accelerators are great sources for angels to invest in. The other thing that I would add is two things that Jumpstart has done in the past. When Jumpstart was first founded in 2002, they didn't invest in 2004. They had problems, just as every other angel group does, coalescing and becoming successful. One of our members suggested that we have a competition because they weren't happy with the quality of the business plans that were coming through. So at that time, the idea was you have to give somebody meaningful money to accomplish a milestone. And they also wanted an early stage company, so they said, let's do a competition where we have your pre-money valuation can't be any more than $750,000, so under $1 million. The prize is going to be a $250,000 investment in your company if you win the Jumpstart, and we called it the Jumpstart 250. That was the competition. And we had several hundred plans come in. Some were really good, some were really bad, but it brought the angel group to the fore in terms of publicity. It brought the excitement from the entrepreneurial community. And the only problem we had before we did this is we said, okay, how are we going to guarantee this 250? Okay, and then we made people raise their hands. And they said, I'm interested. Some people say, no, that's a pig in a poke. I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to choose that. So we had people who guaranteed that there would be $250,000 investment. People went in for $25,000 apiece, and they got to vote based on the amount they had put for the deal. So it was very flow came in from all sources and new sources. The group got a lot of publicity as to what they were doing, and it was a good, successful kick-off for Jumpstart. The second thing that Jumpstart has done is sort of along the lines of connections and meetups, but every 3 times a year we have what's called Meet the Angels. We invite companies in just to have a drink. There's no pitches. They have to send us a one-page summary of their business, not their product, their business. And we invite them if they're in appropriate areas for us. They come in, have a drink with our members, chat about what's going on, just like this. And some of them actually get asked to present later on. So it's it's something that's out there in the environment, as well as gives access to entrepreneurs. And the last thing I would mention is, and depends upon the culture of the location. When we were very young, we haven't invested much money, so we couldn't talk about our deals, we couldn't talk about the money we had invested. But since we have become much larger, we talk openly and we sort of tout the amount of money we've invested in the economies and the amount that we can do in a single deal. Because at the end of the day, people are attracted to angel investment groups that actually invest money. And some don't. And that's a hard, that's a hard hurdle to get over. But when you invest money, businesses will flock to you. So those are just sort of just a couple of ideas from our own experience that we struggle to get to also.
So Vineet Nijawan, I run the technology licensing office at Boston University, and I've been doing that for 3 years. Part of that, I was a venture capitalist and an entrepreneur for 25 years. So spinning out university ideas is really hard. It's really hard in the US too, for all the reasons you mentioned, because most of these faculty have unreasonable expectations about their technology. But here's the thing, I mean, you can make a difference, and you got to start by educating the technology transfer offices, right? So your university has technology transfer offices. Most of the time, these people are not business people. They have no clue. One way to do it is what Catherine just mentioned, which is you can create a competition amongst faculty to spin out their technology by using your money. So a small amount of money, say even 200 or 250K as a prize. And the process by which you do that, you educate the tech transfer office, because you get to control the process if it's your money. And you can educate the tech transfer office. We're doing that right now. So we got rid of our 50K business plan competition, for students, because we found there's too many of them and it's just not worth it anymore. And we're replacing it with a competition for our faculty to compete for. And now the interesting thing is, I'm the tech transfer office, I'm putting up the money. So I'm putting up 200K and saying the winner's going to get 200K, and then I'm inviting venture capitalists and angel people into the room because I have a requirement they match my 200K with at least 200K from somebody else. So I'm putting everybody in the room so they can find their match. So you can make that difference. You can change the way tech transfer people behave with your money. Just a thought.
Thank you for your comment. In fact, I have been involved with some universities on that. And it's very interesting what is happening, because 5 years ago, universities want to be part of the business. And they are realizing very soon that nobody would like to partner in a university. So they have to find different way to obtain the return of their investment, but in terms of royalties or licenses, but not being in the business. I mean, that's other things related with what you comment. And of course, to deal with these eminences, they cannot believe that they thought are the best potential work, and they have a very funny way to modulate what they don't know. So to make a business is just to take a plane and go to the US and obtain $2 million. I mean, I have heard that kind of comment at least a couple of times. So a lot of, and I insist, the most beautiful business are in there. Other comment that we were commenting with Catherine in lunchtime regarding the job creation. And job creation is a very tricky, depending where you are. Because if you are involved, as I am, in some global business or regional business, when you are looking Latin America, you said, well, we have this development group in Chile, but in Medellin, the salary is 1/3, and people may be better. So if you are covering 6 countries, why you have a development team in the most expensive part of your potential market? Don't talk about India or other places, but just the place where you usually go. And I remember some years ago, I was in charge of Oracle Mexico, and Argentina was broke. So, as was Chilean, I said, well, I am more Mexican than Mexican, so we will cover with Mexican people the project, until we start to lose some project. Because our competition were bringing people from Argentina, very well qualified, 1/3 of the salary. So, in a global game, part of you expect from an angel is how you improve the equation of the cost. And also, you can, I mean, if you are professional, you cannot promise to the country that all the taxes will be there, because you have to improve the tax equation also. So it's very difficult what you can offer to the ecosystem in some particular country about job creation, about taxes, about that kind of things.
When you try to make the academic side find the business side, there is always this. I find this notion in Brazil that most people look at teachers, they don't see teachers as successful people, that people that had made in life. They see people just the opposite, that couldn't. And when you see in US people, a teacher driving a BMW and arriving at the college and people looking at her, oh, come on, I want to be like this teacher. We don't have this kind of mentality in Brazil yet. So when I come to a student and say, oh, I like your idea, I think it's probably going to work, and maybe I'll become your partner. The student is scared. First, whoa, come on, what's this guy saying? That's very strange. So one thing we gotta change is this notion that the academic side can get near the business and the investment side. So that's one insight that's very logical, that's very clever, what you said. And I think we should do it more. Perhaps if we approach the university more with ideas like that, I'm sure teachers would love. I'm a teacher. I live with them a lot, and every time an idea comes and the university doesn't have to pay anything. So the money comes from outside. We are financing it. It should be accepted. So this kind of ideas are really good to do, and I think it will also help develop the teachers in seeing this as an opportunity for them to develop this kind of businesses.
Caio Ramalho from FGV Research Center. I would like to make two quick remarks. First, basically, we're talking about education, right? Everybody that made some point passed through education. Some people there mentioned the ecosystem, that the Brazilian ecosystem needs to improve for sure. But my point of view is that the ecosystem is still there. The problem is how to make those individual initiatives, angel initiatives, entrepreneurship initiatives, public initiatives working together. The problem is, I think that Brazil lacks some institution or some angel association or somebody that make that connection between the points. Because the ecosystem is still there, but needs to be developed in the point of the connections. We have many startups competition in Brazil. Some of them has been there for more than 5 years in connection with the international universities, connecting venture capitalists, connecting angel investors. But the point is, too many initiatives, but we don't work together. People want to work separately, but we lack of somebody that connect. Maybe it's something for Professor Botelho and Gavea Angels and other angel organizations in Brazil to think how to connect those different initiatives. Another remark is regarding the tech transfer offices in Brazil. The problem is that I think that is some philosophical, cultural thing, because many of the accelerators and many of the patents that are produced in Brazil came from the federal and state-owned universities. So professors at that universities had the mindset that is bad to outsource the technology that's produced on a public financial basis. So it's a cultural thing that's passed through, needs to be educational development. So a quick comment to wrap up. Maybe the Angels organization in Brazil should try to work together with the government on public initiatives, BNDES, FINEP, etc., to connect those different initiatives in a hub. We don't need to do that by yourself because there are too many initiatives, but you need to act like a hub and work together with the public, with public policy to make that work in a good way. That's a true quick remark. Thank you.
I'd like to complement this point about, in fact, the Caio mentioned, there was mention about the tech transfer in academics. I'm also a professor like Pedro now, and I've been studying now this relationship between academics and I think you're right. There's an academic culture in Brazil that people are not looking to business, no, but there is a fringe, even in the federal and public universities, either state or federal universities, where you have a lot of good professors looking towards business. A few years back, we did a project looking at the top flight, academic departments in computer science, agriculture, and we were trying to exactly to look at that. How come these departments, what are they doing? Good science, because on the side of academia, academics also think, if you go into bad with business, then you're going to do bad science. So you wanted to disprove that. So you look at the top flight, computer science, economics, agriculture, and I forgot the fourth area. And what you're able to find, there are a lot of very good departments, people are in the top rank in academic departments, people who publish most of the papers, and they're doing a lot of business. They had companies, they had contracts. So it's a question of us, in terms of opportunity search, to be able to find these people. So I think it takes a lot of legwork, use a lot of our shoes, walking around labs and going, knocking on doors and finding these people. But they are, okay, they are the academic fringe, but they are there. So you have to go find them. And also the same example that Pedro used, and I remember many years ago I was helping PUC-Rio to set up the technology transfer office. So I visited several technology transfer offices in the US, and I stuck in my mind, I went to talk to the Harvard technology transfer office and said, how do you mobilize your professors, your academics, to really give out intellectual property, to start business? And we were talking about Harvard. These are relatively, compared to Brazilian standards, well-paid professors, so they don't have a problem. And even talking about the Harvard Medical School, the Mass General, which is one of the top flight medical schools in the US, in the world, how do you convince a medical professor who already makes a lot of money to start a business? And she said, the first time a red Ferrari shows up in the parking lot, they come and knock on my door. So exactly the example that Pedro gave.
I have a suggestion to make here, just to connect us. Why don't we in this room, we make a Facebook group, gathering everybody, so start posting news about the sector, start posting deals, new startups, and maybe something will come up. That's, I think what you said, people are not connected, just isolated initiatives. Why don't we, I think it doesn't take a aggregator, it just emerges. People start connecting. So why don't we start doing that? Let's start connecting on Facebook right now and exchange deals and exchange ideas. It's simple, it's one click.
I'm just going to make a comment about tech transfer in the United States too. It's not without its problems. And the universities struggle themselves about how they can't get this out. And a lot of it had to do with, if you reward publishing over patenting, then you're going to get people who publish and who don't patent technology to take out. And then they've also said, okay, so now they patented, but it's not going out. So then they start taking a portion of whatever the royalty is on the license and giving it back to the department and a portion to the inventor. So that's generating some change in the universities. But it's very erratic from university to university. Some universities have a great reputation for tech transfer offices, and other ones have a difficulty getting it out. And I'm not going to bash Princeton. There's probably some Princeton grads in here, but Princeton's a very insular university, and we've known that for years, and we deal with them, and they've expanded, and their tech transfer people are great because they work with us enough, and they send different companies to us, or even grads who come and talk to them, and again, it's a network. But the Princeton University president has now an annual reception to celebrate Princeton innovation. So all the people who have IP patented each year are invited to this big reception, and all the investors in the region are invited to this reception. So they're trying to bring in and themselves make that connection and get more connections for their university. So everybody has problems with it, not just here.
I would like to make a remark regarding the entrepreneur profile. When we are talking about deals, we are talking about who is the team that is behind that. And it's very strange what's happening, because when we are talking about, let's say, regional project, forget about global project, regional project that 2 or 3 countries in Latin America, you need people very well prepared. So one of the scarce resources is which is the ability of the people to deal with 3 or 4 countries in a proper way. We invest about 6 years ago in a company, 3 guys, very energetic, and they approached me, Fernando, we would like to make this business in Chile. Why in Chile? I mean, you can do it in Latin America. You're right, but we have to deal with these people that's in New York. Let's go to New York and let's negotiate with them. And we offer a business plan, great, we reach agreement. 2 years later, we multiplied our investment by 5 only in Chile. They were not able to do it in the other countries. It was our vision, but were not their ability. So the only way to do it was we should be involved on that. I mean, we tried to support. So reflection regarding this story is that which kind of profile that you need to reach, to capture the total opportunity. And the opportunity was there. In the other country, nothing happened with this business that they created in Chile. Was their vision, was their idea, but they don't have the ability to do it. So that means that for those kind of projects, you need people very well educated that has been living in different countries or has some MBA in the US or Europe. I mean, they are global, not only young people with gain to eat the world. I mean, you need more sophisticated skill generally, or you need people like us, I mean, with experience in different countries that should be involved. That's not the idea of Angel, but sometimes the only way. I have seen many times that Angel finally is very well involved in the project. If not, the project will not fly. So there is an issue regarding the resources, the human resources that we need to this kind of project that can, when we are talking, and the rationale behind is that when you are in Boston, you go to the school in Boston, you eat hamburger in Boston, you go to Starbucks in Boston, you are in the market. You understand the market since the beginning. When you are in Rio, you are in Rio, or Santiago, or Medellin. I mean, if you are in Rio, you are lucky. You have 200 million as your market. If you are in Valparaiso, you have 70 million. So it's not that I study there 1 year or I travel every year. No, it's how you understand the market. So in the region, we have an additional challenge that is how we deal with different culture that everybody speaks Spanish or Portuguese, but work in a different way and has different regulation and so on.
And yes, the automotive company, so I'm from the distant side of the moon in here. I'm not an investment company, but 1 year ago, Robert Bosch had an initiative and created a new area focused on exploring new opportunities for the company in Brazil and India and China, the BRICS. And so I just would like to stress another point of the ecosystem, which I think is also important, is that if there must be a closer relationship between startups, between universities and investors, I guess that it's also complementary to have a proximity between investors and industry, because maybe the exit point for the investor is the entrance point for the industry, because industries usually have different criteria to enter new business. They're not expecting just high profit, but also they're analyzing the strategic perspective for a longer term. So I just would like to stress this point and want to hear your thoughts about it.
Very good point that you raised, because most of the companies, large companies here in Brazil, they should have an area of corporate venture, because there are hundreds of ideas in incubators around the country, and most of the companies, they solve their problems internally, and they spend more money, they spend more time than is necessary for things that are already done. I think that's what you meant. And it's something that's for sure that we have to, as an ecosystem, we have to promote this discussion.
We are trying to do this here. One of our sponsors is AES, and it's in the energy industry. And tomorrow we'll have in here a pitch, and the idea is co-investing between the angel and the industry. So they will act not only as an investor, but also as a customer. And that's the idea.
Thank you, Fernando, the panelists for this panel. Our next activity here now, we're going to do the Business Angel Group startup showcase. So I'm just going to pass the microphone around, and each group who is represented here talk about 3 minutes about your group. And since the idea came from TI Angels, I'm going to give it to Claudio Nazajon to get started.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Claudio Nazajon. I'm from TI Angels. We are a new founded group of angels from ACESPRO RJ, which is the Brazilian Association of IT Companies. We are, in the whole, we are 1,500 companies associated to ACESPRO RJ. In Rio de Janeiro, we are 250. And we began this group with around 10 angels. So we started like 1 or 2 months ago. We are, in this moment, preparing logomarca and things like that. And we are looking for companies, we're focused on companies of technology information and in Rio de Janeiro. We have a commitment to invest around 200,000 reals a year, each member, and well, I think that's it. What I want to invite everyone here is to promote an event that we are conducting next Tuesday, which is Talk Show with Investors, which is part of the Global Entrepreneurship Week. It's going to be on ACESPRO here in downtown. And it will also be transmitted online through the internet. You can see the details and also make the application through www.tiangels.com.br. That's it.
My name is Rodrigo Balug. I represent Business Angel Club from EIA, Business School of Buenos Aires, Argentina. And we specialize in small projects, I mean in small businesses that becomes in the first stages of their lives. We are not specialized in any kind of industry in specific, but we are looking for every project that will be scalable. And nowadays we are looking for opportunities not only in Argentina but also in the region, specific in Latin America, but also in the whole globe. It's a club that began back in 2005. We are already around 100 members, and we invested in over 23 projects in amount of around $3.2 million.
That's it. Boa tarde, chamo-me Francisco Banha, represento aqui neste congresso a Federação Portuguesa de Business Angels, e a Federação Portuguesa de Business Angels tem uma origem na criação do primeiro clube de Business Angels, o Business Angels Club, em Portugal, em 2000, que eu próprio criei. Hoje, em Portugal, existem 11 associações de Business Angels, 11 clubes de Business Angels, cerca de 500 pessoas, 500 investidores envolvidos, e tivemos um grande avanço nos últimos 2 anos, porque conseguimos criar um fundo de co-investimento com fundos comunitários e com nossos próprios fundos, e nos últimos 2 anos a nossa atividade de Business Angels em Portugal cresceu significativamente. Para que possam ter uma ideia, no último ano e meio investimos em 56 projetos, a quantia de 8,2 milhões de euros. Portugal é um país pequeno, mas tem uma forte atividade ao nível dos anjos. Neste momento, a Associação Europeia de Business Angels é presidida por um colega meu. Eu próprio estou na direção da Associação Europeia de Business Angels, o que diz bem da atividade que nós temos vindo a desenvolver em Portugal. Não somos, nenhum dos clubes de Business Angels em Portugal é focado numa ou noutra área, somos generalistas e, acima de tudo, tentamos identificar projetos que detetem uma oportunidade para o mercado global. Por isso, para nós, é fundamental estabelecer redes de contactos como aquela que estamos aqui neste momento a tentar desenvolver, nomeadamente com Brasil, América Latina, mas também no seio da World Business Angel Association.
It's good to be called a showcase for groups. We had a hard time getting there. I think that's the story of angel investing. I mean, we've gone from 12 members to 40 members to being able to spend several $1 million a year, as opposed to having to work for several years to make $1 million in different investments. We have a reputation for being active angel investors. We are invited to all the demo days, okay, so we can spend our money and network with the people in the region. And we are regional investors still. We've dabbled a little in Boston, which is far for us, but we literally go from Connecticut to Virginia so our members can stay close to the investments. We look forward to future growth, and I'm glad to have been invited here to see what's going on in Brazil and in the region, and thank you to Antonio.
My name is Fernando Prieto. I'm from Chile. We have a network, Southern Angels is the second oldest network in Latin America. We have closed 21 deals, 6.5 million in different areas. Our project, we have project that has been very successful in the US, in Latin America. We are facing now some challenges because the government support that we have some years ago has been changing. So we have to modify our scope to be more selective. Before we were spreading the good news about angels, but today we have to be very serious in terms of which are the projects that we select and we promote. And we truly believe that this is a key part of the development engine. Thank you.
I'm not exactly a group because I'm myself. Yeah. But well, what can I say? I've been active last 9 years, and six invested companies, one dead, and the jewel of my portfolio already gives me nice returns. In dividends, I got everything I invested already from this one company. And I believe it's this.
Hi, Mike Einstein. I have one foot in New Jersey with Catherine, where I am part of the Jumpstart Angel Network, angel investor for about 4-something years now. And also I have another foot in São Paulo. And we have, as a matter of fact, two companies, if I could say, or two. It's not one is two different things going on. One is Argotech, which is our investment branch, which is pretty much Pedro and I, and we invest in startups that are beyond the acceleration model. We've been doing this for a couple of years since we sold our last website. And we also just started an accelerator in São Paulo named Aceleratec, and this is the one in partnership with ESPM, the university. And so this is for the early stage. So we have we're playing in the very early stage and the not so very early stage?
We are a young group of investors from Vitória. Vitória is a city located 500 kilometers north of Rio de Janeiro. And we have now 10 members on our group. And we started this group, as I said, this year. It's a young group. And now we have 2 projects that we are running on this group. The 2 projects are on the internet projects. It's been a recent experience, but we have learned a lot on these few months with this group. And we hope that we have a lot to do there in Vitória, a lot of opportunities. Vitória is an industrial city with a lot of good ideas, and that's it. Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Luiz Augusto Pacheco. I'm representing C2 Anjos, which is the first angel investing group in Curitiba. We're gonna make 1 year in December right now. We didn't make any investments yet, but after seeing Catherine's presentation, talking about any other investors, I'm not that much concerned about it right now because I know that things takes time, and I hope we can make other investors as assured as I am right now with this fact. And that's pretty much it. We invest in any business that we think might be good for us. I think we started about with 30 people, but I would say we have at most 10 people that are actually doing some work. And
I'm Claudia Ludlow. I'm project manager for Angel Ventures Mexico. We are also a network of angel investing. We have around 130 investors. We've been operating for 3 years. We invest pretty much in everything except franchising and real estate. We have 9 projects invested in our portfolio. So far it's more or less $8.5 million invested, and we just closed last month a co-investment fund for $20 million, so we can co-invest with our current investors. We have many investments which lacks the last part of the investment, so we're working currently on that.
Marcelo from Floripa Angels. We started in 2009, and we have two investments. Florianópolis is located in south of Brazil, and we are kind of IT hub. And now what's changing this last month, I would say that we have some seed funds acting in Floripa. We are more or less 10 to 12 active investors, and hope to make some new investments thanks to this event.
Daisy, I'm representing Anjos do Brasil, an association that aims to develop the entrepreneurship innovation and also the angel investors. And I'm here in behalf of Cássio Espina. In fact, he has an appointment in São Paulo, but I'm part of the group. I'm the member of the advisory council. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Guilherme, one of the partners of Confrapar, a venture capital firm acting in Brazil. We have raised 2 funds so far, one investing only in companies located in the state of Minas Gerais, and another one investing here in Rio de Janeiro. We have invested so far in 8 companies, and hopefully closing another 2 deals in 2012, and already raising a 3rd fund, a bigger fund for growth capital. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
My name is Ralph Earl. I'm one of the co-founders of the Clean Energy Venture Group in Boston, Massachusetts. We've made 36 investments in 18 companies over 8 years. We solely focused on clean energy, and I want to thank Antonio and the organizing committee again for inviting me here.
I realize that I'm on the board of Mass Ventures, which is the Massachusetts State Venture Capital Group. And in 30 years, they've had a 14% annual IRR. This is the State Venture Capital Fund.
Gavea Angels, no, I'm Antonio Botelho, I'm the president of the board of Gavea Angels. We celebrated our 10th anniversary. Within 10 years, we made not quite 10 investments, but 9 investments, probably for a total of $1.5 million through this time. Over the last 2 years, we made 5 investments. Hopefully, we're going to close a couple more by the end of this year. And we are reaching 30, 31 associates by the end of this year. And I think that's about it. So you have several colleagues of Gavea Angels here, a lot of them present. We're probably going to be meeting through the day. I don't know if Guilherme, you want to say a little bit about AES Brazil?
My name is Guilherme. It's a pleasure to sponsor this meeting. And as our friend from Bosch, we look for opportunities, innovation, and technology that are just coming to before they arrive the market. So we looked to technology that haven't arrived to the market, and after that we are glad to receive the technology that already arrived to the market, and we are open to this kind of technology as well. We don't have a venture funding, but we have a different kind of funding. We work today, we invest specifically in technology, but we cannot invest in enterprise. It's a different kind of investment. That's a regulatory obligation. That's the way we do it like this. That's it. Oh, the main reason that we came close to the angels, that because as we go only for the technology, we need someone that goes to the enterprise. So to grow both things together into the market.